Hello friends, this video on separation of substances part 8 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So for that, let's look at this example. So just think of making a cup of tea. So this will help you to understand this concept even better. So let's say what you do is you put the tea leaves. Now you have already prepared tea. That is, you have taken a saucepan, you have put some water, you have put the tea leaves, you have boiled it for some time. So you have prepared tea. Now you do not want the tea leaves, because while drinking tea, we do not chew the tea leaves, right? We just want the liquid. So what you do is you just leave it for some time, leave the beaker with the tea leaves as well as the liquid tea for some time, and after some time you see that the tea leaves kind of settle at one end, like whether it is at the top or at the bottom, so somewhere it just settles down. So what you do is you just pour the liquid part into the cup. So basically, you have separated the liquid tea from the tea leaves. But when you look at this cup of tea, don't you see even a single bit of a tea leaf? Don't you see a single piece of tea leaf? Yes, you do. So of course, most of the tea leaves remain in this beaker, but some small amount of tea leaves are still there in this tea. So will you feel very comfortable drinking this tea? No, because while drinking, you will often face the tea leaves coming inside your mouth. So you'll not, it will not be a very nice experience of having this cup of tea. But if instead of doing this, if you do it this way, so what you do is, instead of following this process of sedimentation and decantation, if you just take a strainer and you pass the tea through the strainer, so what happens? The tea leaves remain there. So the tea leaves get stuck there, they are blocked, they are not allowed to enter the cup, and only the liquid tea enters here. So in this case, do you think that tea leaves would be there in the cup? No. So this is a better method, right? This is a better process of separating the insoluble particles from a liquid. So definitely, the efficiency wise, this is a better process. So that's the disadvantage. So that is what the disadvantage I was talking about. So this disadvantage is with decantation, and this process where this disadvantage is overcome, this process is called filtration. So now we are going to discuss about filtration. So what is filtration? It is separation of solid from liquid by passing it through pores of a filter. So for the process of filtration to happen, you again need something like a filter. So filter can be any object which has extremely tiny pores. So these tiny pores will only allow liquid to pass through it, and it will block all kind of solids. So there you need to make sure that the pores are very, very tiny. So think of the strainer which is used for filtering your tea or coffee. So they have very tiny pores, and that's how they will block the solid particles to pass through them. Now, when I talk about filter, what kind of filter am I talking about? So now there can be many types of filter. Even a cloth can act as a filter, a piece of cloth. So this cloth has tiny pores in them, and you would have seen that while making paneer at home, we often make use of cloths, right? So you take a cloth, you just put that paneer on it, and all the water will drain out through that pores on the cloth. So a cloth can also act as a filter. Filter papers are one of the best examples. So if you have ever seen a filter paper, well and good. Even if you have not seen it, just check it out in your laboratory or go to a stationery shop. You'll get to see filter papers. So these are papers which look porous. They have very tiny pores on them. So when you pass a liquid through them, they will only allow the liquid to go through. Even if there are tiny particles, tiny solid particles, those particles will be blocked and they will not be allowed to move through. So how do we use this filter paper? We normally make a cone out of this filter paper. So we make a funnel like structure with the help of this filter paper. So you see, you have a beaker and this is a funnel. So what you do is you cut this filter paper, or you fold it in such a way that you can form a cone like this. And then this cone acts as a filter. So whenever you pour some liquid here, only the liquid particles will be allowed to pass into the beaker, and the solid particles will be caught in the filter paper. Think of the water filters at your home. Why do you use these water filters? To purify water, so that the water which you drink, that doesn't contain any sort of solid impurity. So even the tiniest solid impurities will be caught or will be blocked by these filters. So in these water filters, inside you would have seen these kind of cylindrical structures are present. So these structures are often termed as candles. So these candles, they are nothing but they are the main filters with tiny pores on their surfaces, and these tiny pores allow only water to pass through them, and they block all the solid particles. So that's how the water filters in our homes work. Now, where do we use this filtration technique? So, as I have mentioned, water filters are one very common example. So a lot of water purifiers are available these days. So their purpose is to clean water, purify water. You think of making tea. So the tea leaves and the liquid tea is separated using a strainer, which is nothing but a filter. You think of making juices. So how do you make juice? So let's say you have oranges and you want to make orange juice. So if you do not make use of a filter, your juice will also contain the seeds of the oranges. And would you like to have seeds along with the juice? No. So that's why you have filters. So if you look at the juicers, this is the picture of a very simple juicer. So all the juicer, they have a filter which doesn't allow the seeds to pass through them, and they just allow the liquid part to pass through them. And that is why the juice which you get in a glass, that doesn't contain any seed, that doesn't contain any solid particles. It is like a pure liquid. So these are some examples where filtration is used. So filtration process is beneficial only for separating solids from liquids, because for filtration to happen, we make use of some filter which have extremely tiny pores. So these tiny pores will only allow the liquid to pass through them, and it will block all types of solid particles. You think of the tissue papers, which are often used to absorb oil from fried foods. So when you fry pakoras or you fry any kind of stuff, you put them on tissue paper so that the oil which might be present on the body of these substances should get absorbed by this tissue paper. So there also it is about filtration, so that tissue paper is allowing the oil to pass through them, oil being liquid, but it doesn't allow any solid particle to pass through them. Now filtration also has its own advantages and disadvantages. So in terms of advantage, it can separate insoluble or tiny particles from a solution. So it can separate solids from liquids. But it is not very effective in separating soluble substances from solution. So let's say instead of tea leaves in water, if you have a sugar solution. So do you think that if you pass sugar solution through a filter paper, so will it block the sugar particles? No, because the sugar particles are completely dissolved in water, and the filter paper will allow the liquid to pass through it, and the sugar particles are actually dissolved in water, so it will also pass through the filter paper. So if you again want to separate salt and water from a salt solution, will you be able to do it by filtration? No, because that is also because salt is soluble in water. So any substance which is soluble in water, they cannot be separated using filtration. So it is only effective for separating solid particles which are insoluble in a particular liquid. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.